Let's talk AFL on TheInformer. Alex Caiafa joins us in the studio. Mate, last week, we have to go back to last Thursday before we preview this week. Let's review last week. Sydney Cricket Ground, vastly improved Essendon Bombers. They almost got over the line and upset one of the hottest teams in the AFL for 21. I'm talking about the Swans. What did you make of the contest?
They did, and Essendon looked quite good. They really took it up to the Swans. Their young guys really showed out and actually were on top of Sydney for a fair bit of it. Yeah. Essendon got up to a 25-point lead at one stage in the game before Sydney rammed home about 5 goals in a row.
They've got some outstanding young stars, Essendon, haven't they?
They've got Archie Perkins, which was quite nice, but the star, the young kid that everyone's looking at the moment is Nick Cox. Big 200
Don't call him a kid. He's 7 foot tall.
Yeah, he's a unit, and he's running on a wing at the moment. He's not even playing a key position role at the moment.
That's his best position. He can corral everybody. He really is something out of the box.
I mean, there was one play, he took it from the wing, went for a run, and he's a right footer and kicked it on his left foot, and
this is the sort of generational footballer that can actually change the game.
Yeah.
And it hurts me to say this, but Essendon look like they have a good one.
Yeah, he is going to be some talent, that's for sure.
Wow. Okay. So very tight contest. Buddy kicked the 950th goal of his career, which is quite some effort, and just got them over the line.
Buddy's always proved to be a thorn in Essendon, and he did it again by kicking the sealer.
He continued. Now, there was another very close game the very next day, and it was Port Adelaide, which has been promising to do something very special. Last year, they looked really, really good. Yeah. They took it to the reigning premiers, Richmond, and they clipped them by a couple of points.
They did, and this game was neck and neck all game.
Mind you, it was played in Adelaide.
It was played in Adelaide, Adelaide Oval. Obviously, Port, losing to Richmond in that preliminary final last year, they wanted a bit of revenge, and they did get their revenge in the end, but probably wasn't as easy as what they would have liked or hoped. In the second quarter, Port Adelaide, they had plenty of shots on goal to put the game away a little bit and make it a little bit more easier for themselves, but they just missed a lot of chances you'd expect, kept Richmond in the game, and Richmond just kept coming, and it was just one of those games that was just neck and neck all game.
Alex Caiafa, I've got to get you to stop thinking revenge. If you don't play in a grand final or a preliminary final, it's not revenge. If it's a contest, in the rounds of the 20-odd round, 22 rounds of the competition, it's not revenge, mate. All right? It's just a win. So get over some of the hype and get on with the real stuff. Speaking of the real stuff, seriously, how good are the Western Bulldogs?
Oh, they're flying at the moment. This new style of game that, obviously the games are going a lot quicker now. Players are actually making an effort.
A couple of additions from other clubs.
Yeah, Treloar's been immense. Just his running ability and ability to just find the football and just, as I said last week, they've got about 5 or 6 midfielders that could get 30 possessions each. No other team, I think, in the entire league has a midfield like that. And that midfield has proven to win them every game so far.
And they were playing against a side that everyone was rating that was going to really make an impression, and they still do. We're talking about the Brisbane Lions, but wow. They played at Ballarat, I think it was, and some contest.
It was tough conditions as well, where one way the wind was, you were going with the wind and you could have kicked it 50 and the ball would have gone 70 metres, but then you kick it the other way, you kick it in the air and it comes straight back to you. So the Bulldogs made the most of it. They played extremely well, and they're very deserving of their spot on the ladder at the moment.
In the other game played at Marvel, we almost saw what they call a fable. In other words, a bit of a magical contest. Because for 3/4 of the contest, the Eagles, playing away from home, looked like they were going to score a big win, 33 points up, and then suddenly someone waved a wand. Was it Eric Banner, the Hulk, scaring the hell out of them? Because they came back from 33 points down. Where did this St Kilda come from? Or where has it been hiding?
In a quarter and a half, St Kilda had a 53-point turnaround. So they ended up winning the game by 20 and were down by 33 basically halfway through the third quarter. I don't think anyone was expecting that. I know a fair few Saints supporters were at the bar and at the pubs, and they were about to throw their phones and walk out, and that's it, they're done. And
it's a week on, the Eagles still can't believe it.
Yeah, I can't even explain where it come from. They just awoke into 2020 St Kilda and they just piled the scores on. They started putting pressure. They started playing faster.
7, 8 goals. Jack Steele was man of steel.
He definitely was.
Superman.
He flexed his muscle big time, and he's been so far the Saints' best by a long way.
And Nat Nui, who had been leading them, suddenly went, hang on, what's going on here? No, it was quite an extraordinary contest. Is that the beginning of St Kilda's, real run for the competition, or was it? We have to wait, don't we, to see?
I think we do.
Can they back it up?
I think we do have to wait, and we'll talk about that a bit later in their game coming up. But it's good signs that they were able to do that.
Speaking of good signs, it showed me that you know a little bit about your football, because you predicted that the Navy Blues would go to Metricon and beat the Suns away from home.
Yeah,
you did. You got it right.
Yeah, no, it was tough conditions in that game.
Ugly.
It was ugly. Gold Coast humidity, especially at night time, it gets dewy, and a lot of the time it looked like the guys were picking up a bar of soap to kick it and try and pick it up. It was a bit of an ugly game, but the Blues did what they needed to. They held firm. They especially in that last quarter. They again a similar situation to Port Adelaide. Had they kicked a little bit straighter, might not have been as close as it was, but. You've got to give credit to the Blues. That wasn't pretty, but they're the games that build character, and they're the games you have to win.
They do, but my great concern with the Navy Blues at the moment is that each and every week they're losing another player.
Yeah, they've lost one of their up and coming in Caleb Marchbank. They've lost him for the year now with an ACL. They've now lost Jack Silvani for around a month or so with he's needed to get shoulder surgery, which we're calling minor surgery. So
we're blooding more young players?
It appears that way, but the thing is with Carlton is you look at their injury list, they've got a bit of depth there that they can very easily bring in.
Okay, Collingwood, mate, where do we start here? We were saying that the Giants were in trouble, but the Giants, led by Toby Green, that was a captain's performance, and Collingwood just were not there at the races.
Well, it's funny, we talked about it last week, that GWS were the decimated team, but it almost looked the complete opposite. It looked like Collingwood were decimated, and GWS come out and played really, really well, led by Toby Green. He's an absolute star. He's one of the best in the competition, especially when he's on.
Crows North. Crows building.
Crows are building. North Melbourne were actually in front at 3/4 time, which is interesting. But then, for whatever reason, a young team, they stopped, and Adelaide piled on 6 goals in a row, and that was it.
Okay, what about those Demons, mate? They are looking like the real thing. They took on Geelong at the G, and they won. They
did. Geelong were missing Dangerfield and Rowan and guys and Jeremy Cameron and guys like that, but you can only beat who you play on the day, and Melbourne are really playing some really good football. They're playing quick. The addition of Mark Choco Williams into that coach's box and just around the club, just a different mindset, has really had a big effect on them, and you can see
the kids. And the one that completed the round was the game between Fremantle Dockers and Hawthorn. Tough always for Victorian clubs when they go over to the West Coast, but terrific performance.
It was. Fremantle deserved the win. They looked in control for the most part of the game, but Hawthorn did take it up to them, especially in the last quarter at moments. So it was a very competitive game, but Freo do just enough.
We're going to test you now. This is the preview. I want predictions. St Kilda, this is a chance now. Was it a one-off last week? They're up against Richmond.
I personally believe for this week anyways, it was a one-off. I can't see Richmond losing 3 games in a row, and I think they'll get it done. Okay,
Collingwood, real question marks, but they love playing in Western Australia. They're playing the Eagles.
They do love playing in Western Australia, and we saw that in the elimination final last year, but how Collingwood are at the moment, and West Coast aren't going too badly. They'll be disappointed at their recent results, so I think West Coast in Perth.
All right, the Western Bulldogs up against the Suns.
I think it's just too hard to go against the Bulldogs at the moment. They're playing some really good
football. So you think
football.
5-0?
I do think 5-0.
Okay, the Swans up against the Giants. This is the derby.
It is the derby, and
East versus West.
And GWS coming off a win, they're going to feel a little bit more confidence. Sydney without Dane Rampy and Isaac Heaney could be an interesting game. I still think the Swans are going to get it, only just.
Okay, I'm going to be at the G. It's Carlton against Port Adelaide. Night game, Saturday night. What do you reckon?
Carlton will be going in this with some confidence and feeling like they can take a scalp here.
You're scaring me now.
Port Adelaide, they are missing two of their young guns in Dersma and Butters this week, and they are pretty big outs. But I mean, if you're going from a tipping standpoint, you have to tip the power there. They've got the runs on the board, and they deserve it.
Have the Lions got any chance against this rampaging young Essendon Bombers team?
I think we're going to see a rejuvenated Brisbane back at the Gabba. First time in a month, they're back home. I think they're going to get the job done.
Wow. Okay, Crows versus the Dockers.
It's hard to tip against Adelaide at the moment, isn't it? And especially at the Adelaide Oval in the City of Churches. I think Adelaide are flying, and you just got to tip them. Got to back them in.
Okay. The Hawks up against the Demons.
I think Melbourne are legit at the moment, and
even Alistair Clarkson's coaching
as good as Alistair Clarkson is as a coach. I think the way Melbourne are playing at the moment, it's too hard to go past.
Okay, the Cats. This is the last one against North.
Yeah.
Are the Cats going to build? Dangerfield is back.
They'll get Dangerfield
or is
back.
North going to continue to build?
They'll get Dangerfield back. They'll get Rowan back. Might potentially have the debut of Jeremy Cameron this week as well. So they could be building nicely, Geelong, and we know what Geelong are like in Geelong. I think they're just going to be way too strong for North.
And what did you say to me at the beginning of the year? It's a marathon, George, not a sprint.
It is.
Alex Caiafa on The Informer, giving it his best shot.